it's interesting with Google announcing that they're going to be bringing in television inventory into DoubleClick Bid Manager. I mean, this is not the first time Google's come into television. You know, they had Google TV advertising, started probably about 10 years ago and ran it for about 5 and then withdrew from the market. I think it's significant. I think that one, bringing TV together with the digital inventory and the digital data is probably the piece that may be most significant. I think the idea that they'll be able to at least report on cross-channel campaigns. The search piece probably is the most significant piece there. The idea that you can relatively close in time synchronize or deliver simultaneous reach against someone who's searching for something. I've got to think that's going to be really powerful in the local market ad business. So since they have Google Fiber, like they've got access to basically a local cable company. It'll be interesting to see how this affects the other digital players. We've been working with Facebook for better part of 2 years on a lot of research and understanding how television ads impact people and reach. But I've got to believe we're going to see a lot more initiatives from the digital companies, you know, probably because they thought historically that they actually might take the TV audiences away. And now I think they realize not all the TV audiences are going to leave TV, so now they need to bring the digital ads to TV. So how something like this is going to impact what Simulmedia does, I mean, the first thing is, if you're working in advanced TV, like for us it's performance TV, audience optimized TV, the more disruption in the market, the better. So the more players that start saying there's a new way of doing it, that's helpful. I think Google certainly has a, you know, it represents a bit of an 800-pound gorilla, maybe actually a several thousand-pound gorilla. So I think it's going to cause the television companies to really think about who they need to be partnering with and where they can have the appropriate leverage. Fundamentally, most of what they're bringing to the market is going to be automation, which I think is wonderful for a lot of marketers. It's not the area we're focused on at Simulmedia. We've really focused on what we call performance TV, which is using audience-based targeting, first-party data to fundamentally change the way TV ads perform and to make them essentially as performant as, you know, search and social advertising have been in digital. And so I think it's going to be harder for them to really get into that part because there's going to be a real question about what kind of access they're going to get from the large marketers. You know, will the Walmarts of this world really let them access their first-party data for TV campaigns? Well, yeah, I think you know, one of the things, and I think this is the U.S. market is probably similar to a lot of the rest of the world this way. In the television business, it's a seller's market, not a buyer's market. There is more demand for TV inventory than there is inventory. Now, that's not perfect across, you know, perfectly true across all parts of it, but it's by and large true, which means just because someone has a new way of buying doesn't mean the sellers want to sell that way. They've not made their inventory available programmatically in any kind of scale before. And so, you know, what is interesting is we haven't seen any TV companies' names in the announcements yet. I'm sure there will be some. I'm sure some will play. But, you know, I don't know that if I have a really, really effective, valuable business selling my inventory once a year, making all the buyers come to the same place. I don't even have to go to their offices. I sit them next to their competition and I bull rush them to buy ads in an upfront. I don't know that I have a lot of incentives to let someone cherry pick my spots for the cheapest possible price in a millisecond before it's going to be wasted. I think without question, YouTube TV represents a really important long-term strategic position and investment in the TV market, inside the TV marketplace. Google Fiber gives them a geographic footprint, some local footprints. You know, YouTube TV gives them a bundle they can sell directly to consumers across, you know, all of the world. So without question, it's a real entry point. I think the thing that's interesting to watch, and I haven't heard, you know, where this would go, is Netflix and Amazon are building really big businesses, and now Hulu's new initiatives with ad-free streaming content. Pay in a modest amount, get the same kind of great programming, and don't You don't have to get any ads. That's going to have ultimately a negative effect on the capacity and opportunity for marketers to reach consumers. But it's interesting because you're sort of pulling people into your own walled gardens, and they're ultimately going to have to work with you in your other advertising businesses. If you're Amazon or who knows where Netflix will take this. So I'm wondering whether Google is going to take a similar tack, and whether we'll see them come in and reduce the ads significantly and then subsidize it heavily to basically bring audiences into the Google YouTube walled garden. If you think about it, if you buy a broadband or a cable company today, you pay several $1,000s US per subscriber just to own it. Well, why wouldn't, if you're Google and you have so much cash in Alphabet, why wouldn't you come in and heavily subsidize this and subsidize it in a way that's very cost effective, is very, modest price, and maybe has a very light ad load, basically to take market share? I think this could become a really aggressive war.